Hi, welcome to the UiPath tutorial. Before you get started, it's good to know a little bit about me. Myself Rakesh, and I am one of the community MVP, and this is the award which was given from UiPath. And on my screen you can see I have been awarded by UiPath in one of the events as a UiPath Most Valuable Professional. And this is the logo which I have received from UiPath. And also they have given me a couple of goodies, and this is one of the screenshot of that. Now, I would also like to say, why would you really need to learn from me? Let me show you, there are so many people around the world who have got benefited from the tutorials which I have created. Let me read some of them. The first one, hi sir, myself so and so, I got a job opportunity with good package. This credit goes to you and only you, sir. By posting new concepts, it will help me a lot to crack 3 interviews. He has cracked 3 interviews, just imagine. Right? Similar way, I'm not sure if you can read this, but let me read it for you. Thank you so much, Rakesh. I watched your videos for about 4 months, and I am happy to say I have gotten a job. Okay. Likewise, there are many such comments. Hi, sir. On Jan 30th, I have cleared my UiPath RPA Associate examination. If you're preparing for any exam, even my contents is going to assist you and help you. The next thing, hi Rakesh, your YouTube videos helped a lot for me to clear the UiPath Advanced certification. Okay, so likewise there are multiple such comments. Hi Rakesh, this so and so, thank you so much for your videos. I really helped a lot to crack the interview even after a year gap. So it is helping a lot many people, and I'm pretty sure this also would help you. So my only recommendation for you before you get started, continue the entire series. Do not skip it. Just follow the entire till the end of the video. This is going to be a kind of a 1-hour video. Please do continue, and I'm pretty sure you will get a lot of benefit by end of it. Do not skip it and follow to the end, and let me know your success story. Do comment on our channel videos and let me know your success story. Thank you guys. So let's continue on to the videos and see everything till the end. In this session, we are going to learn UiPath tutorial for beginners. Anyone who would like to learn UiPath from the scratch, this is the tutorial you should continue to follow. Without wasting any further time, let's understand what is RPA. So RPA actually an acronym for Robotic Process Automation. To understand this process automation and to be able to make a difference between the robotic process automation and a normal robot that we have seen in the manufacturing industry. So let's slightly go back to 1950s to understand how the development of the physical robots have started. And the job of the physical robot, for example, to paint a car. Right? Nowadays in the manufacturing industry, for almost all different products that is manufactured today are mostly done by the robots. So let's go back to 1950s, what I said. This was actually started by an American inventor called George DeVore. Designed the first automated manufacturing robot in 1950s. However, he was granted a patent in 1961. Okay, so almost 10 plus years after several years of development, and the first manufacturing robot sold soon after to General Motors. So now it is quite popular in the manufacturing industry. But the same thing was not popular in the software industry or the IT industry. Now let's go back and understand what is that I am talking about in a software industry. So in a software industry, let's see a daily work life of an employee. Let's say the employee is a HR employee and she is getting multiple different documents. What is her job? Her job is to read the documents. For example, resume, the first name, last name, email address, and the phone number, let's say, from the resume that people are sending it to the HR. After reading the details, the HR would copy those. Let's say she is opening the PDF document on her computer. She will copy your name or copy your phone number and go to a different application, paste it. Again, copy your email address and go to the application and paste it. And then she would schedule she will send a meeting invite to you. So everything is done manually. Is there a way she is doing this every day, let's say 20 times or 30 times? There are 30 profiles, 40 profiles, 50 profiles, and every day she is doing the same job. She is scheduling a job with different candidates after verifying the details. Right? She is picking the data, copying that data into an application and scheduling an appointment with the candidate. So this is a repetitive task. Can this be automated in a software industry or anybody? Nowadays the computer is being used everywhere. Every small business also has a computer and a software. So anywhere people are doing this repetitive task. This is just one classic example. But again, anywhere a repetitive task is done, that's where the robotic process automation comes into place. So what is this robotic process automation? Robotic process automation is a software technology to develop software robots. So it is a software technology. For example, UiPath is a software. Using UiPath, we can develop software robots that mimic how people interact with computers and software. Exactly how the person was reading the data and then writing the data to the application. The same thing can be developed using a software technology called, let's say, UiPath. And we can develop a software robot, not a physical robot, right? A software robot will be an application inside the computer, right? The moment she clicks on it, it will automatically do the job. She doesn't have to manually copy and paste. The robot will do the entire job. So that is known as a robotic process automation. Okay, that's the definition. Now let's understand a little bit of history. The history of RPA dates back to early 2000 as a growing technology. By 2018, when it exploded its popularity, okay, companies started undertaking digital transformation and RPA platform capabilities has improved. Okay, that is where since 2018 or so, or maybe much before that, that's where the RPA name has become very popular. And some of the tools that are also have become popular, I'm going to show you that. So by now you must have understood the difference between physical robot and a software robot. Physical robot is this and software robot is a piece of software inside the computer. Okay, so some of the RPA softwares, one is your UiPath, which we are going to focus on in this UiPath tutorial, and then Automation Anywhere, Blue Prism, Microsoft Power Automate. So likewise, there are multiple different RPA tools today in the market. Okay, so we will be focusing on UiPath. So let's move on to our next topic. Hey guys, our very first step to learn UiPath is to install the UiPath Studio Community Edition. Now, how do I install UiPath Studio is something we are going to learn. First of all, let's understand what is the system requirement for UiPath installation. So all you have to do is simply type UiPath installation requirements on Google, and you would find a document from uipath.com. Get onto that, and here what is the minimum operating system, what is the supported one. So your CPU should be 2 into 1.8 gigahertz, minimum 32-bit. Okay, recommended is this much. RAM you should have minimum 4 GB, recommended is 8 GB. Okay, disk space you should have minimum 3.5 GB. So this is one of the requirement that you can see on my screen. Let's talk about the operating systems. So the supported operating systems that is there today is Windows 8.1 and then Windows 10, then you have Windows 11. I would recommend you to go to this page with the title Hardware and Software Requirement. Now let's move on to the next thing. Where can I download it? Okay, where can I download it? Now to download, let me first get onto Ignito Windows because I have already logged in. All you do is go to cloud.uipath.com. Okay, where will you be going? cloud.uipath.com. Hit on enter. First thing is, if you are doing it for the very first time, you have to sign up. Okay, so this is the sign up page. So you sign up, it will ask you to select your if you are using Chrome, it will prompt you to select your Gmail, and then you continue with the sign up process. Okay, it's quite simple. So first you complete the sign up process. So once you complete, right, then you need to sign in into your cloud.account. So let me sign in and show you how that would appear. Okay, cloud.uipath.com. Okay, so now this is how it will appear. Okay, good morning Rakesh and all that. So now the very first thing is you should go to the help section. Okay, there you find, or on the right hand side also these options are available, but I would recommend you to go to the help section. Okay, so once you are at the help section, you find the options to download. So what are the things given to you? Studio, Studio X, Assistant and Robot. Okay, these are the things which will part of the package. All the things will get downloaded. So how this is done? This is the community edition. If you see, this is the community edition. So I have logged into cloud.uipath.com community because one thing is the enterprise edition which you need to buy. For learning purpose, we will be using the community edition. Okay, so I hope you should find the community edition here. And then here there are two different options, preview and the other one is stable. Preview and stable. Now which one to go for? Now let me tell you what is preview. Preview is something, it's a package when you download. If you see 22.7 and the stable it's saying 22.4.4. The preview, generally what happens, you will receive a monthly update. Every time they are making some changes, you will be receiving those changes every month. In case you would like to try that out, then preview would be the best for you. If you would like to go for stable, you will only get a yearly update. So every year if it is going to upgrade to next version, then you would receive a yearly update. I have gone for a stable. It's up to your decision. Okay, so now let's say stable and hit on download. So once you download, it will be, I think it will be around 1 point some GB. Yeah, 1 GB, 1.1 GB. This data will download and it will take time. Okay, now the next thing would come. The installation of any application is quite a simpler process. You know, you hit on agree and then next. But still, I have created a detailed video. If you go to YouTube and type UiPath installation and simply type Rakesh, my name, here you find the 2022 UiPath download, install and sign in, connect to orchestrator. So here when you go to, once you have done the installation and you have already signed in, do one thing, go to settings and go to license profile and hit on change profile. So right now my profile is in Studio 2020.4.4 per user installation community license. Okay, now there is also another option called UiPath Studio X. Many people, what they do, they will go for Studio X. Let me tell you, Studio X is not for RPA developers. This is meant for people who are non-developers, I mean the business users. So you should go for Studio. So you can always change your profile if you like to see how the Studio X requires. For example, if I click on it, it will tell profile was changed. Do you want to restart? So let me hit on yes, then it will restart. So I don't know how to do it. Fantastic. Let's move on to our next topic, which is UiPath settings. We are going to see modern design and also we are going to see classic design and how they are different in the settings. So now once you have opened the UiPath Studio, click on settings and go to general, and here you have multiple options to go for, like light and dark mode. I would like to go with a light mode, so I'll leave it as it is. It's up to your choice. You can experiment and see which one you like. Moving on to the modern design and classic design. So if you hit on the design, there is a very important setting here called use modern for new project. Now the moment it is enabled by default, if you are using the latest UiPath Studio, you should see this option is by default enabled. So what happens when it is enabled and what would happen if I disable it, right? So first of all, let's enable and try to see what happens. So once it is on the yes, go to start, and here in the start hit on the process, and we are going to create a new project. So hit on process. And here give it a name. Let's say I want to give it a name called my first project. Okay, and you can give it a description or leave it as it is and hit on create. After waiting for a while, you would see the new banner has appeared, and this has got app/web recorder, computer vision, user events, table extraction, and so on and so forth. So this is the modern design view, but the classic design view will be entirely different. So let's see how the classic design looks like. For that, let's click on the home, click on the settings, click on the design, and disable the use modern design for new projects. Now click on start, and let's create another project by hitting on the process button and give it a name my project 2. Okay, my first project I'm saying my project 2, and I'm going to create. Now you would see the new project will be created in the classic design view, and there is a difference in the top banner and the activities is going to appear. So let's wait for it. Okay, now the classic design has appeared, and you can see the top banner is entirely different, wherein you have a recording button, and if you click on the recording, the basic desktop web recording native Citrix computer vision is in this way, and it has got something called screen scraping and data scraping, wherein the other one had a table extraction, and here there is a user event. So this is how a difference between the classic design and modern design. And next thing, you should also explore the activities. The activities here are of classic design. For example, if I type browser, you see there is something called open browser activity over here to open a browser. Okay, I'm going to talk about that in the next topic, but letting you know, in the classic design, even the activities are of a different type. Here I have an open browser. Now if I switch back to the modern design, I'll hit on this one, and I'm going to launch the first project. Okay, now the project is loaded in the modern design experience because this was created in the modern design. Now if I type browser, you will see there is no open browser activity, but there is something called use application browser. Even the activities are different in both the views. However, you have an option. You can click on the filter option and click on the show classic. This way, if the moment I enable it from the filter option, if you see the open browser activity has appeared. If I uncheck this, you see that has disappeared, right? Now if I check this, I can also use, being in the modern design, you can also use the classic or the old activities, okay, of UiPath Studio. So that's about the agenda today. We are going to move on to our next topic. Moving on to our next topic, how do you create your first project in UiPath Studio? And once the project is created, what is the location of the project? Both the things we are going to see. Now let's get started. Once you are in the UiPath Studio, click on the start and then click on the process to start a new project in the UiPath Studio. So hit on the process. This is going to bring you a prompt like this. Here you should give it a name. Let me give it a name. Let's say my first project. And I'm going to leave everything as it is. In the language that we are going to use is VB, and in the description you can definitely put a description. If not, you can leave it as it is. And the location, you can see the location is going to store in Rakesh user documents and UiPath folder. This can be modified in case you would like to store in a different location, but again I would recommend you to leave it as it is. Okay, and then I'm going to hit on create. Now the moment I create a process, this is going to take a bit of time, so wait for it. Once the project is loaded, I'm going to talk about the rest of the topic. So now the project has loaded, and this is how the window would appear, and here you would find open main workflow. You need to click on open main workflow and wait. And here you can see my activities, and I've dragged and dropped it towards my left side. But again, generally all these things would be at the bottom. So you can also, if you like to keep it on the left side, depending to your convenience, you can move it and arrange it accordingly as you like. So this is how it will be completely blank, and this is how it's going to appear. Now the very first thing what we are going to do, let's print something. Now to print anything on UiPath Studio, the activity that is there, like any programming language, you have the print command, right? Similar way, for UiPath Studio, you don't really write a command, rather you use an activity. So I'll simply type message, and you find an activity called message box, or you can also type message box. Okay, so this is the activity that you need to drag and drop. Okay, like this you drag and drop, you will have different activities. Let's say, let me print something. Okay, so in the first one, all I have to do, in the double quotes, let me increase the font. Okay, now here let me type something. Let's say I'm going to type hello world. Okay, this is my first message box where I'm going to print hello world, and let me say subscribe to my channel. Okay, I hope you have already done that. So these are the two message boxes that I've added, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to save the project. Okay, so I've created save the project. Now hit on the debug button. What would happen? The activities that we have dragged and dropped, right, this is going to run, and you can see my entire UiPath Studio is in modern design format. Okay, I'm using the modern design. So what is modern design? If you do not know, you must watch my previous video in case you have missed it. Okay, so from the first message box, you see the hello world has been printed on my screen. Okay, if I click on OK, then it's going to move from the first activity to the second activity. Like in programming, it goes from the first line to the second line to the third line. Same way, here the activities will run in a sequence manner. So the second one has appeared, subscribe to my channel, and it has printed in a message box saying subscribe to my channel. Now once this is created, I hope you have already saved it. So once you save this project, right, where exactly this project is there, let's have a look. Let me go to this PC, and here let's say C drive, and then you should go to your documents, or else you on the left hand side you have the documents. Hit on the documents, and here you would find a folder called UiPath. Okay, click on that. The name that we have given, which is my first project, is over here. If you open this, there are a couple of UiPath Studio files which you should not delete. You should leave it as it is. Now this is the main.xml file. If you see, this is a XAML file. So this main.xml is important. This is the file where whatever you have written will be stored. For example, if I close this, I'm closing the studio, and let's say if I'm going to see the project, all you have to do, double click on the project and wait for it to load. So let me double click. So finally the project has loaded on my screen, and this is how the main.xml file which contains your project. Now to see that, you can also navigate to a tab called projects tab. It could be at the bottom for you. Click on the projects tab, and here also you find there is a file called main.xml, and also there is a file called project.json. You can also open these files. Let me see the project.json. So this is a JSON file, JavaScript object notation file. This generally contains settings of UiPath. Try to open this using your notepad, and now you can see the project name is available. The description, we have not typed anything, so it is saying blank process. Your main, where your project should start from, main.xml. Okay, XML file, and the dependencies of the project. Like you need we are using Excel activities, right? So we are using activities. So one of the activity we used is the message box, which is part of, if you highlight this activity, it tells you, if you read the gray box that is appearing, which says included in UiPath.system.activities. So it is telling you where these activities are coming from. So this activity is coming from this particular package. Okay, from here that activity is deriving. Likewise, there are multiple different settings of the project that is listed over here, and it is mandatory for you not to do anything with this or not to delete it. You should not delete this file. These are very important. Your entire whatever you are trying to create over here and try to save it, the file which gets saved is the main.xml. Okay. Likewise, we can create more XML files that we are going to learn in the later chapter, but at the moment you need to understand this is where all these files are available, and project.json file is nothing but which remembers the project settings for your workflow that you are creating in UiPath Studio, and the main.xml is the file which get auto generated the moment I drag, the moment I create a project. The moment I create a project by hitting on home, hitting on start and process, the exact at that time the main.xml gets created. So that's about the agenda of the video. We are going to continue to the next content. By now you must have got a lot of interest to see a real automation example using UiPath Studio. In this video agenda, we are going to learn open browser using UiPath Studio. For example, If I ask you to open google.com and type something, so how to do that? Let's see in this example. Now for this, the very first thing I will do is click on the Activities tab. So let me click on the Activities tab, and in the Activities tab, because I'll have to open a browser, I will type browser, and there will be an activity called Use Application Browser. Drag and drop this activity. Okay, the moment you do it, it automatically encapsulates this activity within the sequence. Okay, you can also name this sequence. For example, I would like to name it to Open Browser Automation. Okay, done. Now here, let me first indicate the application I would like to automate. For that, keep your browser open. Let's say I would like to automate in Google Chrome. I should keep it open. Go back to UiPath Studio and click on Indicate Application, and it's going to prompt you something like this. Okay, so click on any blank space. I'm going to click here. The moment I click, it is asking me, you need to enable the UiPath extension for Chrome. And all you have to do, simply click on Install and wait for a few seconds. Now you get a prompt. If you want to continue installing the UiPath extension for Chrome, please close all your Chrome process and click OK. Let's do that. Let me close the Chrome and I'm going to click on OK. Chrome browser process are still running. Do you want to force close it? Say OK. Now finally you will get a prompt. The UiPath extension for Chrome was successfully installed for the current user. So you need to enable the browser extension by navigating to the Chrome extension. So click on OK on this. Now open the browser. On your browser, you find there is an icon called extension. Click on that. And then here, click on Manage Extensions. Okay. So here one of the extensions that you should find is UiPath Web Automation. What you do, enable this and you are done. Let me open a new tab and close that tab. So I'm done. So my UiPath extension has been enabled and I can see that here it's enabled. Okay, great. Go back to UiPath Studio, click on Indicate Application, and I'm going to select. Now you can see this has appeared from orange or red color to a green color background. So that means it is working fine. Click on any of the blank space. So what is happening? It is automatically, it is saying Chrome, new tab and all that. Right. Now here instead of this, you can type the URL. Let me remove this. Sometime it might also show you www.google.com. If not, in the browser URL, let me type www.google.com. Simple. Okay, whatever website you like to open, you can type it in the URL. What you do, close the browser before you try to run this automation. I'm going to hit on run. Okay. You can see it has automatically brought the google.com. Let's say I would like to type something here. So to type something, let me stop it. So first thing I have done is I have opened a browser. Just to show you as a test how it is working, you got a demo. Now in the do section of this activity, I am going to drag and drop few more. So I would like to type into, right? So I will simply say type or type into. So here I have an activity called type into. So it's quite drag and drop kind of a tool, low code environment. So here I have dragged and dropped the type into activity. All right. Now here, where would you like to type? So click on indicate in Chrome. Target application could not be identified. Okay, click on OK. Let me try it again because I have closed it, right? www.google.com. So all you do, keep that page open. Okay, so this is where I would like to type, right? So keep it open in the background. Go back to Studio, click on indicate, select the portion where you would like to type. Okay, the green kind of a signal should come. So I'm going to double click on it. Okay, so automatically it will learn where exactly it should type. So you can see a lot of things has automatically been captured. All you have to do, hit on confirm. Okay, it's validating, so confirm. Now type here what exactly you would like to type. For example, I would like to type Bengaluru temperature. I would like to see the temperature, so I'm going to type it here. Now empty field before typing, yes. click before typing, single click. Okay, that's all. Now let's debug this and see how this one is going to work. Before you debug, ensure you are closing the browser so everything would start from the beginning. So the automation has started, and you can see the google.com has been opened, and the next thing it should do is it should type Bangalore temperature. Okay, so it has typed Bangalore temperature, but did it show any kind of a result? No, it has even closed the browser. Now to control this, okay, if it is not stopping automatically, you can manually also stop it here. Now what happened? There are two things happened. The browser got auto closed. So all you do, click on the property. That could be here, somewhere here on your UiPath Studio. I have kept it on my left side. So here what I'm going to do, it should not automatically close, right? So I should look for the property of this activity where I'm trying to open google.com. So here if you see close, there is a property called close, and here I would say close never. So it should not close it. Done. Now the next thing is it should hit on enter, right? After typing it should hit on enter. So all I do, click on this drop down and I'm going to select enter. Getting it? Now if I run it, before you run, ensure you're closing the browser so that it will start from the beginning. So the automation has started again, and you can see it has opened google.com, and now it should type Bangalore temperature and hit enter. Do you see it has hit enter and the browser did not close, and I can see the temperature. So this is the agenda of the video. Let's continue on to our next video. So our next topic is UiPath input dialog box. What is input dialog box? How to use it? How to use a if condition? And how do you create variables and how to use that we are going to see. Okay, for this we will use a use case. What is the use case? The use case is that you should provide the user two different options, Google and YouTube. Let's say it is going to show Google and YouTube has two different options, and if user is selecting any of this, it should open the browser. Okay, it should open the browser. So how this can be done, let's see it and you will understand all these 3 points. Let's see it. Now the very first thing, I should need an activity called input dialog box. So type input and drag and drop the input dialog box activity. Here let's give a title. So all you do, within double quotes you have to write the title. So I will say user selection window. Okay, and here I'll give an instruction to the user in the label, enter your or make a choice from the below options. Okay, and here I need a multiple choice. So what I will do, I'll create a, you have seen the multiple choice questions, right? How it will appear. So it will appear, it will show him Google and YouTube. If he's selecting Google, it should open Google web page. If he's selecting YouTube, it should open the YouTube web page. To do that, all I need is a double quote, and in the double quote I will simply write Google and I'll separate it by semicolon. Okay, and then I am going to write YouTube. Getting it how I have written? Let me show you in a slightly bigger window. Okay, so this is how. So if you need more options, you can simply put a semicolon and keep on writing. Okay, that can be done. So here we will just stick to 2 options, and now whatever the selection he's making, he could select Google or he could select YouTube. Based on his selection, it should get stored in a variable. So I am going to create a variable and I will say user choice. So to create a variable, there are 2 different options. Okay, one is either you right click and create a variable, or you can also use a control K, and also in the property panel of the activity also you can go ahead and create it. Okay, here also you can come and create it. So doesn't matter wherever you create. Once you have created the variable, you should always go to the variable panel to see what kind of a data type got assigned. So it's a string data type. Let's say you would like to deal with integer, boolean or any other thing. You have the option to select from variety of ranges of variable types. Okay, and what is this sequence is all about? So every activity, if you see, it is encapsulated within a sequence. So within that, if I am going to drag another activity, let's say I need the next activity is a if activity. Okay, so what happens, this if activity got encapsulated within the sequence. So it is recommended in UiPath, so every time there is a sequence like this, you should give it a name. Okay, so here we are doing browser automation, so I am going to say browser automation. Okay, so now the variable which got created, this variable can only be used within this, so that can be controlled where that should be used by the scope. Okay, so here because we have only one sequence, so I'm selecting, so this variable can be used within this browser automation scope. That means within this you can use it. Okay, any activity within this sequence can utilize this variable. Now here the next activity that I have used is if, so I will say user choice equals to, if it is Google, so there are two options, Google, so I am going to say if it is Google, and ensure your spelling is accurate. Okay, Google. Okay, so if it is Google, then what you do, it should open Google. For that, the activity you should use is use application browser. So drag and drop this activity within this. Okay, within the if condition. Okay, now here what you do, keep the google.com open and the youtube.com also open on your browser. Go back to the UiPath Studio, click on indicate application to automate, and you should, I'm selecting the google.com and click anywhere. The moment you click, it will automatically take the URL www.google.com. Okay, now if the user is selecting anything else, so there has to be else, right? So here you have to click on else, and here in the else I need again the same activity, use application in browser, drag and drop, go back to your browser and keep that youtube.com open. So this is my channel. Now click on indicate application to automate, and I'm going to select the YouTube page. Okay, so it is automatically taking things. Now one more important thing you should do is go to the property, and here there is something called close. I don't like to close it automatically, so I will leave it never close. Okay, the same thing I will do it for this activity as well. I'll go to the property panel, highlight and go to the property panel, and here I'm selecting never. So my automation is now ready. Okay, never, yeah. So my automation is ready. Now let's run it and see how this one is going to function. Before that, please close your browser and start from the beginning. So I'm going to hit on run. So the automation has started, and here it is saying make a choice from the below options. Okay, all this we have written, so it is giving a choice, and let's say I'm going to select YouTube. Okay, click on OK. So what would happen, based on my choice, it should open that page. So you can see it is opening youtube.com. So finally the YouTube page has loaded. Let's try to select google.com and see it. Let's rerun this, and before that let me close the browser and rerun it. So this time I'm going to select Google and hit on OK. Now you can see google.com page has opened for me. So this is the browser automation, and we have covered all these topics, UiPath input dialog, if condition and variables in a basic manner, which would help you to start your learning journey. So let's move on to our next topic. Let's see an example of a switch case. If there are multiple options, you can't use a if, right? If has got two options, if, then or else, right? Now where there are multiple options, there you have to go for a switch case. So let's see this example. Okay, now here what I'm trying to do, this is the input dialog box, and I would like to show three different inputs, not two inputs, Google and YouTube, but I'm going to show Google, YouTube and UiPath.com. Now based on user selection, it should open the web page. Okay, so how to do that? So for that, all I will do, I will simply add one more option here called UiPath, right? Let me type it here, UiPath. Okay, done. So there are three different options. Now let me click on OK. Everything will get stored in this variable called user choice. The next activity what I need is a switch activity. So search for switch, 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 and here the variable which contains the data, I am going to write that, which is user choice. Okay, after writing that, you would find there is a warning symbol, and this happens because your user's choice variable data type is a string data type. Now I have to change the type argument of the switch activity to string. The moment I do it, the error is gone. Okay, now what are the three? We have three different cases, right? So the first case is Google. User might choose Google. Okay, this is first case. What is the second case? User may choose YouTube. Okay, and write it in the same way, okay, how you have written. And then the third choice user could make is UiPath. There is also a possibility that user may not make any choice. Okay, if the user is not making any choice, then in the default option that you have, what you do, add a message box and say you have made no choice. Okay, so I'm writing a message. If user is not selecting anything, then it will show you have made no choice. If user is selecting Google, so it should automatically open Google. For that, which activity I shall use? The activity is use application browser. Okay, the same thing, let's copy paste for all the three. For YouTube also, if user is selecting YouTube, I'm dragging and drop all these three activities inside all the three use cases. Okay, so all you do, first you go to Google. Now on your browser, keep the Google page open in the background. Click on indicate in the Google case, and I am going to select this. So what would happen? The Google has been selected. Same thing, let's do it for YouTube, and keep your YouTube at the background. Indicate, and I'm going to select. So it is going to open YouTube. Now if somebody is making UiPath, same thing, keep UiPath in the background, hit on indicate and select. Okay, so three different options that we have selected, and finally this is how it will appear. Okay, all you do, minimize it. Okay, so this is how. So default, then Google, YouTube, UiPath. Likewise, you can continue to add multiple different options that you might see. Now for all these activities, all you do, say go to the properties which I have showed you and make it to never. Okay, I will do it for all the activities so that it won't get closed. Google, and I am going to select never. Done. For all the things done, now let's run it. So I got a box here. Let me make a selection of UiPath and hit on OK. Now you can see UiPath.com page is now open. So if you go to the background, you can see UiPath.com page has been opened. Now the next thing what we will do, let me not make any choice. Let me run it again. And here I'm not making any choice. I'm going to simply click on OK. So what happened? It is giving me an option. You have made no choice. So with this, we have covered all the agenda of the switch case that you could learn as a beginner. Now let's move on to our next topic. Let's understand sequence in UiPath. What is sequence in UiPath and how that works? For that, the very first thing you do, you create a project in case you have not done it. So how you do it? Hit on home, hit on process, and you give it a name, and then hit on create. The moment you create it, what happens? A project will get created. You open that, and you would have something called open workflow. Click on that, and finally you will land onto a blank space. Here, let's say I would like to drag and drop few activities. Let's say I'm going to drag and drop an activity called message box. The moment I drag and drop, a sequence gets created. Do you see? A sequence got created. Let me give it a name. Let's say I'm going to give it a name called display message. What if I would like to drag and drop few more activities inside this? Let's say another 3 message boxes I have dragged and dropped. To understand how sequence works in UiPath, you need to first design this and write few things. Let's say I'm writing in the first message box, hi. Second one, how are you? And in the third one, I'm writing subscribe. I hope you have already subscribed to my channel. Okay, so subscribe. Now if you run this, you would be able to see actually how a sequence works. A sequence always works from the top to bottom. Look at it. So what happened? The execution has started and the very first message box got executed and the output is on your screen, which is hi. Then what would happen? Then the second one, top to bottom approach. Now how are you? And the third one, subscribe. Right? So the first thing we have learned, in a sequence, it always has a top to bottom approach and it is always unidirectional. So what is this sequence? The sequence represents a block of activities in UiPath. Right? In any programming language, you write a block of code. Same way, this represents block of activities in UiPath. So this is clear. Now let's go to the activities panel and type sequence. So here you see sequence. What if I would like to add few more things, but again I would like to keep it separate. For example, I would like to ask user input. So what I have done, I am dragging and dropping a child sequence within the parent sequence. So for this child sequence, let me give it a name called user input. And inside this sequence, I can drag and drop further more activities. Let's say I would like to ask something, right? So I'll use an input dialog box. And here in the input dialog box, you can design it. Let's say I would like to ask the name of the person. So I will say user input. And I am going to ask age or name, whatever you like to ask, right? Here I want to ask enter your age or enter your name. Okay. And here I will create a variable called user input. So what would happen? The moment I execute this, it's going to ask me. So look at this, how this is going to execute. So right now we have a parent sequence and inside that there is a child sequence. But again, the workflow will always work from top to bottom. So look at it. So the first one got executed, hi, and the second one got executed, how are you? And the third one got executed, subscribe. Okay, now this one is getting executed, the child sequence, and inside that there is an activity called input dialog box. This is getting executed and it is asking me enter your name, and here let me say Rakesh. I'm going to enter. Okay, and that's going to get stored in the user input variable, and you can use a message box to display that. Okay, so this is clear, top to bottom approach. There is also one more thing called sequence. So what is this then? What is this? When you create a sequence, what happens from here? Let me show you. For that, first thing you hit on the projects tab. In the projects tab, there is a main.xml file. Right click on this file and go to open file location. Okay, so here is the folder where your file is available, right, in your computer. So whatever you are designing, and the moment you save it, what happens? All this data, all these activities that you have created, or all the development that you have done, everything gets saved inside this file called main.xml. This is the file which stores all the details. The moment you hit on new and hit on sequence, it is telling you, hey, I'm going to create a new file now. So right now I had only one file. So what would happen? The kind of name I'm going to give, let's say I'm going to give it a name called display message 2. Okay, I'm going to give it a name called display message 2 and hit on create. So what is happening? Right now you have created another file called display message 2. This is another XML file. So the moment you use this option, it always creates a new XML file, right? New XML file. Now there is also called flowchart. The sequence is always unidirectional. You can't move to left or right, kind of a branching, right? If the condition meets, you go to left. If condition doesn't meet, go to right. So for all that, I need to use a flowchart, which I'm going to discuss next. At the moment, let's focus on the sequence. So here I have created another sequence. What if I would like to copy the entire thing? Let me Control X. Okay, I'm going to cut everything, and inside this I'm going to paste it. Okay, I will highlight this and I'm going to Control V. So what is happening? All the activities which were present in this one, now I am adding it over here. And why am I doing so? Okay, let me add one more activity here. I'm going to improvise this slide a bit by adding a message box, and I would like to display the user input. Okay, so why did I do so? Now what happens in UiPath, when you run UiPath, the execution starts from your main file. This is the file from your execution will start. And then you have also created another file. So how do I really use that file which I have created? It's pretty simple. All you do, go to the activities panel, and here you type invoke workflow file. So there is another workflow file you have created called display message 2, and I'm going to indicate that file where exactly that file is available. I will select this file, hit on open. Now what would happen? I am not exactly running this. Let me close this. Okay, and always save it. Okay, save and close. So let me close this. So what I am running, I am exactly running the main file. I am not doing anything. So what would happen? This is going to call this XML file, and all the codes written there will be executed. Let's see this. So hit on run. Okay. So now the invoke workflow file will run, and it is going to call the XML file which I have created. Look at it. So what is happening? It is going to call, like we call the functions, right, in the programming language. Same way we are calling a different, see that the other file has opened, and from here the other file is getting executed. Do you see? Hi got executed, then how are you is coming, then subscribe is coming, then the child sequence is getting executed. It is asking the name. Let me enter my name, let's say Rakesh, and then finally it is going to display the name Rakesh. Getting it? So this is the use of creating a new sequence, wherein you can keep your main file quite simple, and all the modules that you are creating, these are called modules. Okay, so you have created a module called display message module, and I'm calling this module in the main file. So that is the purpose of you creating a new sequence and a new workflow file, and you are calling that workflow file through a invoke workflow file activity. So that's about the agenda of the video. Let's move on to the next topic to understand what is a flowchart. Fantastic. Let's move on to our topic, UiPath flowchart. What is UiPath flowchart and how it works, we are going to see. Until now we have seen how a sequence works. A sequence always works from top to bottom. It's a unidirectional. But a flowchart can be multi-directional. You can see it has given, I have given multiple direction it is going to work. To understand, we are going to start everything from the beginning, but let's run this and see how this one is functioning. Then we will understand flowchart. Okay, so this one is quite simple. The first thing is it is going to ask the username. Okay, so there is a prompt user input, enter a name. Let's say I'm going to enter my name Rakesh and hit on OK. So what is happening? It is going to greet the user saying hello Rakesh. Very good. Click on OK. Now it is going to ask me continue or not. Continue message. Would you like to start again? Let's say yes, which is not possible in a sequence, right? So now you can see it has, I have given a direction where it is prompting me again enter a name. Let's say I'm going to enter a different name this time. Let's say John, and I'm going to hit on OK. So again it is going to prompt me greet user hello John, and then it is prompting me would you like to continue again. Let's say I'm not going to select anything. I'm going to simply click on OK. So what would happen? It will by default it will go to the same prompt once again and is prompting me. If I'm not giving any input, it is going to prompt me again and again. Okay, let's say I'm going to say no. Then what would happen? It is going to go to the bottom one where I have said no. Thank you. Automation is going to end here. So this is the flowchart. You got an example of a flowchart. So how to design this? Let's see it. So first of all, let me delete everything, and then ensure all your variables are deleted as well. Okay, you haven't kept any variable. Simple. Now to create a flowchart, there's an option here new, and I'm going to create a flowchart. If you do this way, what it's going to do, it's going to create a new XML file. As I showed you in the sequence, the moment you do it, it is going to create a new flowchart. So I don't want to create a new flowchart. Rather, I am going to use the main.xml file and I want to deploy a flowchart. So to do that, the simple option is here in the activities panel, simply type flowchart. Okay, so here you would find something called flowchart. Drag and drop this activity here, flowchart, and you are done. Now expand this. Okay, this is how it will appear. Now the very first activity I would like to use is a message box, right? So let me delete it, and I need to drag and drop the message input dialog box, right? Asking the username. So input dialog box, and click on it. So once you click on it, you enter details. Let's say user input, and I'm going to say enter a name, and then I'm going to store this into a variable called username. Hit on enter. Done. Now this variable is getting created as a string variable. Very good. Let's go back to the main by hitting on this button. Okay, so I'm back to my workflow. Okay, now the next thing, I would like to greet the user. So how would you like to greet the user? Using a message box, drag and drop, and here click on this, and I'm going to say good morning. Let's say good morning or good afternoon or hello, whatever you like to say, plus the variable which is containing the username. So that way it is going to say good morning, the username. So this is simple. Now go back to the main again. Now the next thing, after doing this, I would like to give it an option to the user whether he would like to continue this again and again. So for that, I'll use an input dialog box, and here I am going to ask the user whether he would like to continue or not. So here I will put a display continue or not, and then input label. Here I will say, would you like to continue this automation? Okay, this is the question I'm asking, and I'll give few options to the user through the multiple choice, and I'm going to say in double quote yes, and then colon semicolon, and then I will say no. Okay, yes and no, and whatever the user is making a choice, it should get stored in a variable. So I will say user choice. Hit on enter. Done. Let's go back to the main. So now 3 different things I have designed, and it is flowing in a sequence, but I have to use a multi-directional approach, right? For that, based on user choice. So user could make 3 choices. He could click on yes, no, or simply make no choice and hit on OK, right? 3 possibilities. Now for that, I'll use something called flow switch, like a switch activity I have shown in the previous videos. Similar way, flow switch. So using the flow switch, first thing, user might not select anything, right? So if user is not selecting anything, it should show him this dialog box. So what are this dialog box? It's good practice to always name it. Okay, the first one is user name, right? Is asking for username. So you give it name so that you understand what you are doing. Ask username, and this message box purpose is to greet user, and here the purpose of this one is continue or not. Okay, so this gives an indication anybody who is going to look at your workflow, they understand what you are trying to do. Done. So default, if no choice, then it will continue to loop in this way. If his user is making a choice, so first thing, whatever the user is making a choice, getting stored in this variable called user choice. Now what I'm going to do in the flow switch, I'm going to highlight, and I'll go to the property panel, and here I'll put that variable in the expression. What is the variable? User choice, which contains the data. Whatever the user is going to choose, is going to store in this variable called user choice, and this is what kind of a variable? It's a string type of variable. So this is very important. Okay, done. Okay, so my flow switch has moved up. Let me drag and drop it to the right place. Okay, so by default it will continue here. Now if the user is going to make, because we have given 3 choices, yes, no, and he may not make any choice. If he is making a choice of yes, then what should happen? So for that, what I will do, if he is making a choice yes, see, if you keep your mouse pointer, you see some small square options, right? So these are called branchings. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that and continue on to this one. So this square button should come. Okay, otherwise it will not connect. So it is connected. So now highlight this line, and here instead of case 1, what the user is going to select? Yes. So say yes. If it is yes, then it will ask the username again and again. If the user is selecting no, then I will show him a message box. I'll put a message box here, and for this one I'll again highlight, and here I would say no. If user is making no, then you should flow this way. If user is making yes, you should flow this way, and asking ask him to enter a name again. So let's run this and see how this one is working. Pretty simple one. The flowchart will give you a direction, okay, which direction it should flow. So there is an error, value for a required activity argument text was not supplied. Okay, let me see that where this is happening. So dock it and let me auto hide. Okay, so let's see where we made a mistake. Okay, message box, we did not enter anything, right? Any message. So let me enter a message. Thank you. The automation is going to end here. The automation is going to end here. Simple. Let's go here. Now let's run it and see how this one is working. Expression must be set before flow switch. So there are multiple errors which are coming. Okay, it's good to learn, right? So there is still a problem. So let's see what is the problem. Flow switch. I have entered it. For some reason it has vanished. So use a choice. Okay. So if you encounter this problem, please re-verify it. So let's run it. Okay. So now it will first ask for the username. Okay. So let's say I'm going to enter a name called my name Rakesh. Hit on OK. It's going to greet me. Good morning, Rakesh. Okay, very good. Then continue or not. Okay, let's say I'm not going to make any choice. So what would happen? It will go to the default and it is going to loop. Okay, as many times I'm not entering, it is going to loop. You can see it is looping. So let me make a choice. So let me make a choice. Say yes. Would you like to continue the automation? Yes. Okay. Then what would happen? It is again going to this activity and is going to ask me the name. Let me enter a name called John. Hit on OK. Good morning, John. Again it is asking me continue or not. Here I am making a choice called no. Then it should go down. Okay, it has gone down and now it is prompting me. Thank you. The automation is going to end here. Simple. So that is the agenda of this video. Let's move on to our next topic. Hey guys, you are now at the end of the tutorial. What you should do next from here. So let me show you. Go to YouTube and type my channel Automate with Rakesh. You will find this logo of my channel below and all you do, click on this. Once you click, it will take you to my home page, channel home page. Click on the playlist. So once you click on the playlist, what you do, scroll to the bottom of the playlist and you should continue to your learning journey. There are many things you have to learn. Okay, so you should start with UiPath tutorial for beginners. You have already gone through this. There will be certain things, few activities and all the things I have covered in this series. So start with this, then go to UiPath tutorial on Excel data table, then go to UiPath key techniques, then go to UiPath email automation. Likewise, on my channel, you can follow this. In this series, you can continue to go up and up and up and continue to learn all the different contents I have created in the playlist. Alright, so that should be your next step. So let's continue the learning journey. Do not stop here. Let's continue. You have done a good job and you will be able to. So thank you. Let's meet in our next content. Bye-bye.